Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric and a surprise edition of, hey, guess what? Analogue 3D is delayed again. I know what you're thinking, surprise Pikachu face from start to finish. This was supposed to ship at the beginning of the year, then it was supposed to ship in July, then at the end of August. Now as of August 20th, about 55 minutes ago, we all received emails saying that Analogue 3D is now delayed until Q4 conservatively. So the real question is the Analogue 3D even going to ship in 2025? Now obviously I talk about analog devices on the channel. I own them and I don't dislike the company, but at this point in time it's become a meme as to just how inept Analogue actually is at shipping anything. And I know some people are going to be mad in the comments down below and say I don't like Analogue. It's not true whatsoever, but it's getting to the point where they basically run up to the finish line and then say right before they break the tape and ship the product, we actually have another delay. And honestly, the announcement on this one, I don't even understand what it is they're trying to say. We're going to go over the email I received as well as you received if you have one on pre-order and try to parse what in the ever-loving hell they're actually trying to say here, because you will see we all received an email and it basically says Analogue 3D shipping date is moving to Q4, intentionally set conservatively. See the full announcement here for details. And they say we're pushing without pause and appreciate everyone's patience and trust. Well, they've expected a hell of a lot of patience for us, so let's read their full statement. It says, and I quote reading, Analogue has been moving at maximum pace, processing shipping to everyone who has been patiently waiting. Unexpectedly, uncommon issues are rare, especially in a negligible degree under esoteric circumstances where ensuring every detail meets our standard. Now, I am sorry, but I don't know what the hell that means. If that's not AI, I don't know what it is, but I am Video Game Esoterica, so maybe they're having a call out for me. It further goes to say, nonetheless, we know this sucks. Yes, that is very much true. Another delay announced late after months of patience. We feel it too. Analogue 3D has been in development for 4 years obsessively. It's at 99%. Hardware, system, packaging, the full kit been set for months. The last 1% is where we're focused. Again, I don't know who wrote this. It seems rushed and I'm very confused by the language here. This is not any sort of grammar I would have expected to have sent. And then they just say they're moving it to Q4, set conservatively. So basically what that's saying is it might not even be out this year. So if you're hoping to open up an Analogue 3D under the Christmas tree in 2025, I don't even know if that point in time is ever going to come. If you want FPGA N64, MiSTer FPGA obviously has you covered, and it was my intent to run some comparisons, Analogue 3D versus MiSTer FPGA in September, but I'm really not surprised this is delayed. I was actually chatting with Andy D, someone who helps with the channel here and there, and we were both basically 100% convinced that this thing was never shipping. And there are a couple schools of thought as to why this is going on, so I will talk about both of them with you. The first is somehow Analogue still isn't done with this thing even if they're 99% along the way. It's possible that there is some sort of issue, some sort of incompatibility, manufacturing problem, but the thing is Analogue doesn't tell us why there is a delay. They just tell us that there is a delay, and it's still, to this point in time, all we have are renders of the hardware. We've never seen a PCB shot, we've never seen a demo of it running, so it could be very well that they're having issues making an N64 core. Now the other, and in my opinion possibly more likely reason, is that they are still struggling with tariffs. Right now, at least to the best of my understanding and reading, they would be facing a 30% tariff on this console when it left China. So it's possible that their actual profit margins are being completely eaten up, and they just keep kicking this thing down the road in hopes that the tariff will be reduced down even lower or back to zero so that they can actually make the profit. Because honestly, we've been getting email after email on the Analogue 3D, just delaying it further and further into the future. And at this point in time, basically no one is ever surprised that this thing actually ends up getting delayed. We've got a lot of fancy technical drawings, we've got a lot of specifications, we've got a lot of flowery language as to what Analogue 3D is going to do when it releases. Well, let's talk about what we don't have. We don't have any video demos of the hardware running, we don't have any PCB shots, we don't have any even preview consoles out to previews or reviewers. We just have Analogue's promise that this thing is real, it is coming, and you just have to wait. And honestly, with Analogue and promises, that can be a little bit dicey because we know how Analogue DAC went. That was supposed to cover a lot more systems than it ever did, and that's basically been abandoned at this point in time. I understand this is going to be disappointing to everyone, myself included, because I was looking forward to doing those comparisons, but of course Analogue in that email and statement says, if you would like a refund, just click the link and they will issue one. So I am in no way, shape, or form saying that your money at this point in time is at any risk whatsoever. Everyone who has asked Analogue for a refund that didn't want to wait for the Analogue 3D has received them, so it just seems like for some reason or another this thing still needs more time in the oven or more time to avoid tariffs. But again, again, some of the statements they make can be a little bit annoying to me, like 100% compatibility with the retail N64 library. Well, obviously we've had that on MiSTer FPGA for the longest time now, so it's one of those things. If you want to play an FPGA console today that has Nintendo 64 compatibility, including the entirety of the retail library, as well as a metric ton of ROM hacks, we have that. The only thing we can't do right now is actually plug a cartridge in and have the game load up from cart versus loading up from a ROM file. But Heber has been working on some cart reading for their multisystem too, so it's possible that actually starts showing signs of life before the Analogue 3D even ships. And I understand that the multisystem 2 isn't in everyone's hands yet. Review units have gone out. They're in the process of getting ready to ship, so it's not like that's something that you can hold in your hand. Obviously I can because I got a review unit, but other companies are working on cart reading for MiSTer FPGA, so it is possible again that a system will actually be Analogue 3D to market in this respect. And if we take a look at Superstation 1, sure, that is a CD loading console, but even though that hasn't shipped, we've seen multiple proof-of-life concepts of what it is. Taki Unan and Retro Remake have shown not 1 or 2 or 3 photos of the PCB, but like 6 to this point in time. We also have a bunch of demos of the case, of the OS, of the CD reading across multiple platforms. And this is what I wish Analogue would do. Analogue 3D right now is a bunch of fancy specs and renders on a piece of paper, and basically out of any sort of rendering software to give you a perspective image of what it might actually look like in real life. If they are 99% done with this console, they need to start showing demos now to basically make sure that their community and buyers feel confident in this thing doing what it says it does. Because if it's 99% of the way there, maybe the case isn't done, maybe there's an issue with the fitment, they could demo this thing working for absolutely everyone so they could see it is real and it works. And again, I'm not saying it's not real, I'm just playing the devil's advocate here and saying I know what my audience wants, I know what buyers of FPGA consoles want. They want unequivocal proof via demonstration that the hardware is real, that the software is working, and that everything does what it says it does. That would make people feel a lot more confident waiting around for Analogue 3D. And it's not like there's not other competitors that are trying to get to market to be Analogue 3D as well. Mod Retro is working on their M64, and I know every time I mention Mod Retro, people get upset in the comments, and that's totally fine. You can get upset about it if you want. That is your right, and I support and advocate for that if you feel as such. But it's one of those things. Every single company is trying to get there. Analogue 3D seemed like they were getting there first, but now honestly, the delays are just getting absolutely crazy. They were talking about January of 2025, now they're talking Q4 of 2025, and again, they state that that is a conservative estimate, so we really don't know at this point in time what is going to be happening. I would not be surprised that all of this thing slides into Q1 of 2026, and this thing has been announced for a very long time, and still to this day, we don't really know when we're expecting to get these shipments, and I'm pretty sure that's why 8BitDo ended up shipping all of those controllers to everybody, because those are all done sitting in a warehouse. They were supposed to launch with the Analogue 3D, but I'm sure 8BitDo got a little bit tired, wanted to realize the profit off all of the expenditure they made in actually developing and manufacturing those controllers, and that's why I was able to do a review of that and basically say it was part 1 of an Analogue 3D review. We just needed to have a console to go along with it. So the question really is, what is going to be the first FPGA console that loads up N64 cartridges? My guess would be with Heber or Heber. I've heard it pronounced both ways, and every time I say it, someone says the opposite. We'll have N64 reading off one of their custom connectors before anybody else does it. And again, there's going to be a lot of competition in this space, and if Analogue was hoping to go first, it seems like that advantage is completely slipping. And again, the delays are one thing, it's the lack of information and the lack of clarity that really does drive me nuts. Tell us what's actually going on. Don't just use this language, because you have an amazing website, you've got some great renders, and the consoles that you shipped have worked and have been entertaining. But something's going on with Analogue 3D, and the customers are not being told what that is. Vague delays with random language do not make people feel confident. It makes them sit around staring at the computer and wondering to themselves what is going on, and maybe they are even shirtless when they do it. Just had to use a little bit of fun in the footage here, but honestly, it is so very, very confusing. And at this point in time, I have no idea, and I don't think Analogue has any idea what in the shit they're actually doing with these delays, because while we can read the email and understand it's at 99% complete according to Analogue, and it has been delayed conservatively to Q4, this reads like nothing I've ever read before. There is no reason for the delay. There really isn't any information other than, hey, that August date we promised in July, after the July date we promised back in January, we're not going to hit that either. If you want a refund, ask for one, but otherwise, it's not coming. No, we're not telling you why. We're just just writing this really strange language to try to get you to understand that if you're expecting a shipping notification from Analogue anytime soon for that 3D, you should not be. But leave me a question or comment down below. I'm sure most people are going to be upset about this, and I'm sure some people are going to yell at me like I'm being mean to Analogue, but I'm just saying the console is not coming. It has been delayed again. We're just going to have to wait and see what the hell happens. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.